Hi everyone, Paul Morbid here, Morbid Team Entertainment. So back here on the Canon 310XL, and yep, it's still a situation of doing a lot of cleaning and stuff like that. Step by step, we'll eventually get to all of it. So we got the inside of this part's clean. We remember all that with the soap and water, that type of a deal. The battery compartment, one of those right there. We got that clean. See, this is what I'm talking about. Everyone loves this camera, okay? The clarity of the lens, but the lens housing mechanism is just really cheaply made. It can just snap at any moment. If you find yours hard to move around and adjust with this right here, you know, trying to get a macro shot, this has to be lubricated in here, inside of here. It's got to be lubricated, and these lubricants have dried up. And if it gets a little tough, don't push it, because if you do, you're going to crack the lens housing mechanisms, and they're just made extremely cheap. And what happens is you're going to have the expertise. Okay, there are companies that rebuild them, and that's what has to happen. The lens housing elements, the housing itself has to be 3D printed and rebuilt. But you got to have one that's working, right? But, and that goes to show, and the stuff like this, how cheaply this camera is made inside. So it's just the way it is. If you're a fan of it, great, and it works for you, great. It's just really, really cheaply made, is just my point. Each company has one. Alright, so here we got around focus. Thank you. I'm trying to scrape some of the rust off. That trick really doesn't work. Clean it, because in this situation it's already eaten through the chrome, you know, and it's just going to keep rusting and corroding. Okay, so what do you do? Question. Well, there's only one thing to do, and you have got to replace the spring. Alright, so we're going to take one of these springs here and replace the old one, is what we're going to do. Okay, so I've got to separate this base from this old spring, so I'm going to pull this back and started kind of a rigorous job of doing it. There. That's part of the solution. Okay, there's part of it. It's part of the separation. Now I gotta get this part. Thank you. All right, I got that. Open up this port. Okay. And this end, straighten that up. Okay, we're going to do some other things here. Okay, these ports here, right for the battery. New spring. Just lock it right into place. That's all you gotta do, just like that. Okay. We'll get the rest of that in a moment. Probably the most treacherous part is shaping it up. Okay. We're not back in the day, so it can be troublesome to get the exact fitting spring. Okay. Can't play with this stuff too much or it's going to crumble. Yep. Shaping and getting it in there. That's what it's about. At this point, as you can see. Okay, there we go. This is before soldering that one joint on the end. And yes, you got to get it flat on the back of here. Okay, so on the back, I mean right back here. Because remember, this part still has a fit here. Alright, and the part that I'm holding right here with the pliers, okay, it has to fit through. You recall this little opening at the end of my pencil eraser here. Okay, so you're still going to be dealing with a little bit of shaping here and there. You just can't get around it. Okay. All right, it's time for solder. A little bit of paste. Okay, so there's the finished part right there. You got to get flat back here. So what you got to do is you got to finish smoothing it out. This base plate right here, okay? And then with this and this lead right here, you have to get it connected to inside of here, okay? Okay, with this battery cup here and the battery spring. Got the lead out there at the end of my finger. Gonna insert this inside. You can see that little cut at the top there. We're gonna put it in here. The aid of a pair of pliers. We're going to get that fixated in there. Where are you? Is that you? Show yourself. Pop out on me, huh? Yeah, I'm going to come back at you. There we go. Right there at the end of my thumb. Okay. So, we got that. I'm going to turn this around just like so. I got my finger on it. There we are right there. We're going to take this, as we know, this battery holder, and put it here. Just like that. Okay. Zoom. Thank you. There's a screw that goes in here. I've got to grab that screw, put it on the end of my Phillips. And get that started. Okay, that's that. Sticks out more because of the spring. Let's get it up in there. So we have that hole up in there for that thing as well. Yep, okay, we got it. Next, soldering this wire here at the end of my pencil eraser to this lead. Alright. Always fun. Gotta love it. Right. Toothpick. If you're wondering what I'm doing, you know I always use a lot of toothpicks. I don't use a brush in this case. So it's probably one of the first times ever in a video you probably ever, I believe you've ever seen me solder. Come on, wipe it on that pole. Alright. I'll do it for now. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of doing this backwards. So what? Hoping it would stick a bit. That wasn't the case. Okay. Let me just temporarily put this on top of here. Make sure it just sits on there. Alright. That should work. Alright, good enough for right now. It should be. We'll know in a moment. 2 batteries. 1 and 2. Alright. Hold that on there because there's nothing else to hold it. Flip it around. Let's take a look and listen. Okay. So we got power. Everything's moving. Good deal. Just got to get the some more cleaning done with some areas like in here, as is obvious. All that mud, someone really dropped this in the muddy river, man. Possibly flip over this component board. There's some rust damage here, as I said before. Alright, let's get that off of there. Out of the way. Okay. That's it so far. Okay. Inside the lens, essentially. That's what you have right there. You know, it wouldn't be that bad of a camera if it was made with more quality. But back in the day, what they wanted you to do is these parts right here, they wanted you to keep coming back in with these parts being broken. Okay? So what happens is this. The lubrication dries up in here. Right? So it's going to get tough here, get tough here, get tough here, and you're going to try to push it, and then suddenly you feel like, wow, that's free. It really works now. But then you look through the diopter here, through to the lens, and you go to the focus, and the lens won't focus at all. What happens is the parts down in here, those lens elements are broken. Not what is in here, but what this holds. In other words, these parts. Okay? So as you can see them, this one is especially a culprit. As you can see, the glass element is heated inside of here. So back in the day, they would simply, when this part was broken, they'd just take it out, put a new one in. But that's not possible today. So what you got to do today is, when this part is new and good and working, you got to open it, take this part out, and 3D print this part. Okay? Because what breaks usually are these little screws right here. And once they do, the camera won't focus. This will break off. This part right here. Then the camera won't focus. Okay? Because what's happening is, once I get it set up here, basically, the orientation. I'm trying to set up my mind here with the orientation, but anyway, you know, when everything's rolling around inside of here like this, and you force it, one of these is going to break, one of these is going to break. One of these screws will break off. Now, it's already happened here, and I've shown this before in other videos. Right here at the end of my pencil eraser. Then the camera will no longer focus. You know? So this part right here is on top. So with everything else is set up, You got everything set up just like that. And this part will rotate up and down, up and down. That's what's going to happen. But again, you break these posts off right here. Okay, this screw right here in there, and it's not going to focus. You know, as you can see with this one, again, you got to rebuild that. And that's what some companies are doing who service the 310XL. You know, they've got their own version of whatever it is they're doing, and just putting that back in there. Okay. And there you are, yet again, the Canon 310XL. A lot of people love it, but quite personally, you know, from a repair person's point of view, it's made like junk. All right, especially that lens housing system inside. Not this, but these parts right here, especially that part. All right, but if you love it, you love it, and it's your choice. And again, I salute you for that. Okay, still got a lot more to go with this one. As I said, again, got more cleaning to do from the mud bank in which this one was dropped into, and some testing and that type of thing. And hopefully I won't go too much farther and just put the lens together and, you know, cut bait on it. I mean, we got power to it, right? So there you are. Okay, and remember, everyone, to get more videos like this one, do subscribe. Until next time, later.